I've been a travel tech for the past 7 years, and honestly, it's been the best chapter of my life. So this wasn't an easy decision, but this is my story of why I started traveling and why I eventually stopped. Traveling changed my life. Over the last 7 years, I've worked dozens of contracts all over the country, including some pretty cool places like Hawaii and Guam. I got out of my comfort zone, I explored other countries during my time off, I met some pretty incredible people along the way, as well as meeting my amazing wife while traveling. Travel radiology gave me freedom, adventure, and financial opportunity. It allowed me to build savings, invest, and set up my future self in a way I never could have had I just stayed at a staff job. And more than anything, it forced me to grow. During my travels, I became more open-minded, more adaptable, and more confident. And looking back, it was one of the best, if not the best decisions I ever made. So the reason I started traveling was basically I had a simple goal in mind. I was living in Ohio, I knew Ohio wasn't my forever home, and I wanted to get out and explore the country. And when I found Travel X-Ray, that was basically my ticket out of Ohio to see the country and get paid for it. And if that's something that resonates with you, you should definitely look into travel radiology. But I was young, I wasn't tied down, and at the time, it just made the most sense. And for those 7 years, that lifestyle fit me perfectly. I always knew I wasn't going to travel forever though, as it's just not really feasible. I knew eventually I'd want to settle down, start a family, and have somewhat of a stable life rather than living out of my car every 3 months moving to a new city or state. But knowing that logically and actually doing it are two completely different things. For the past decade, I was basically my own boss. I chose when I wanted to work, I chose where I wanted to work, and if I wanted to take a month off, I took a month off. To me, stopping traveling meant less freedom, less pay, less flexibility, and honestly, less fun. That's not an easy thing to walk away from. But my wife and I talked about it and we knew we were getting ready to start our next chapter in life. But the question was, where would that be? About a year and a half ago, we were traveling in Arizona and California, and we really loved traveling on the West Coast. We were thinking of settling down there somewhere. We were planning to extend in California at that time, but my dad got really sick, and we decided to take a contract closer to home in Ohio to be with him. I don't want to go into too much detail, but basically after our California contract, my wife and I went to Peru and we got engaged on a mountain overlooking Machu Picchu. So I felt on top of the world, literally and figuratively. Then we go home, we're getting ready to start our contract in Ohio, and my dad passes away 2 days later. We weren't expecting this to happen as fast as it did, and the next 6 months in Ohio was basically just being with family and helping out in whatever way I could. Because we were in the Midwest already, because we had both of our cars here, we decided, well, let's just do a contract in Minnesota where my wife's family's from because we're close by, and then after that we can head back out to California or Arizona. And the only reason I kind of bring this up, it's something I would have rather kept to myself, but it's just very crazy how life works because Minnesota was never on our radar. We never would have taken a contract here had my dad not gotten sick. But it's just, again, it's crazy how life leads up to certain things and how we ended up here in Minneapolis. So I start this contract here in Minnesota, and this hospital I'm at is easily one of the top 3 or 4 hospitals that I've ever worked at, and I've worked at 15 plus all over the country. So right off the bat, this hospital was just exceeding expectations, which is rare. The people were good, management was great, workflows were efficient, and the equipment was nice and up to date. It was basically a place where you're far less likely to burn out. And while we were living here, something just started to feel different. Cost of living was reasonable, pay was strong, and the hospital culture was healthy. It felt like a place you could actually build a life around. And my wife and I started to question ourselves. We were like, do we like it here? I mean, it's kind of checking all the boxes. And again, this was never on our radar. We were planning to go right back to California after this or right back to Arizona and start looking at houses. We actually did look at houses in Phoenix at a time when we were doing a contract there. And that's kind of what we were thinking that we were going to do. We were going to head back that way, take a contract, and then start looking for houses again. But the longer we were here, we had community, we had family, hospital system was really good, pay was good, and we just kept thinking to ourselves, is this a place we could see ourselves? And it's a major part settling down after traveling as an x-ray tech, because when you travel, you make a lot more money. So it is really hard to, again, lose that pay, lose all that flexibility to start at a new job and make probably half of what you're making as a traveler. And every place I would go, I would travel, I would figure out what the hospital staff was making. I'd figure out their base rates and how much I would be making if I were to ever sign on. And a lot of the places I worked in California, yes, pay is amazing. Obviously, cost of living is high. We were looking in Phoenix because we liked Phoenix a lot. Cost of living, it's a little high, but I feel like the pay wasn't great. We took that contract back home in Ohio. Cost of living is dirt cheap, but the pay was awful. And then here in Minnesota, the cost of living is a little bit higher than Ohio, but the pay just seemed to exceed completely from what Ohio was. It was like $12 an hour difference base rate, which was just absurd compared to the cost of living. So just like I said, little things were starting to check the box of maybe this is a place where we could put some roots down and possibly build a family here. And for people like me and my wife who've lived life on the road traveling for the last 7 years, settling down sounds very scary. Traveling becomes your identity. This is why I named this channel the Nomad Rad, because I was always moving. And one of the best parts of traveling was knowing there was always a light at the end of the tunnel. Every contract had an expiration date. So choosing stability is different. It's more permanent, it's more rooted. But growth sometimes means stepping into the next chapter. Not because the last one was bad, but because you're just ready for something new. Part of this shift was also a CT opportunity that kind of fell into my lap at this hospital. I knew I wanted a new challenge if I was going to stop traveling. I knew I wanted to grow clinically, and because as a traveler you make a lot more money than a permanent staff x-ray tech, I wanted to do something that would help offset those costs. And honestly, the CT opportunity checked a lot of those boxes. And I'll make another video that talks about my transition going from x-ray to CT, especially at a permanent job. But again, this was an opportunity that had a major influence of why we decided to stop traveling. So I don't want to say all good things come to an end. I want to say all good things eventually transition into something new. For the first time in a long time, we're not living out of our cars and our suitcases. We're building something steady, something with roots, foundation. And that gives us a space to start thinking about growing our family, which was our ultimate goal. And the thing is, this doesn't mean it's forever. Just because we're going to set some roots down here doesn't mean we need to live our whole lives here. In 5 to 10 years, we can pick up and move elsewhere. But for now, it just feels like the right move. This isn't the end of the story. It's just a start of the next chapter. So that's my story, and that's why I stopped traveling. And again, it's just insane how life can be so different just by one life event happening. We never would have ended up here had the certain circumstances happened, and I'm happy here now. We're both happy here, and it's nice because this was never on our radar. We would have went right back and still been in our same situations trying to figure out what we're gonna do. And it's comforting knowing that we're close with family, we're closer with my family, and this is just how it was meant to be. And yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling now, but I hope you guys got something out of this video. Traveling is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible if you do it the right way. There's a lot of people that just jump into traveling for the money. They try to get into it too quick and it doesn't work out for them. So I hope that my channel can help answer a lot of the questions for you to get into traveling so you feel more comfortable and confident, because I would love for everyone to have the experiences that I had. It was the absolute best, and maybe down the road later on I'll get back into traveling at some point. With that said, I'll sign off. So you guys take care. I'll see you soon, probably in a couple weeks for my next video, but see you then. Peace.